Hello, welcome to Culturally Prescribed. I'm Robert.
I'm Micah.
I'm Nana.
And we're here to talk about a wonderful woman in medicine, Dorothy Brown. Hope you guys like it. So, who is Dr. Brown? She is talked about a lot at school, and I was kind of curious about who she was. She's a black female, and she was born in the North, right? I think it was like
Philadelphia,
right?
Yeah.
And what I did learn about her beginnings was that her mother, at the age of 5 months, she dropped Dorothy Brown at an orphanage, and then came back for her when she was, as a teenager?
Like 15, something like that,
Yeah. And which was kind of strange. I was not sure as to why she would do that, but I guess there are a lot of reasons why a mom would give her daughter up, I would think, right?
Well, definitely, yeah.
I mean, you can't really explain, why a mom might do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it happened, and we know that, you can continue with her story, but I just think, obviously, being a mom's hard. Like, you don't know financially what was happening, like you said, what the situation at home might have been. Maybe it was for her safety.
Yeah.
But we know Black women have faced so much, and yet we persevere, and that's why we're talking about her today.
Yeah. So, keeping that in mind, when she brought her back at her adolescent years, Dorothy Brown didn't like, I guess, the environment that she was in, so she ran back to the orphanage several times, and I guess that just kind of showed the type of environment that her home life was in, and shows that the orphanage probably was a good choice for her to be reared. And that actually opened up opportunities because she was introduced to people that supported her, and she was able to come down south and start medical school here in Tennessee. And that was, I think, a really cool idea, to think that you have a rough beginning with very little support and home and probably school and education. But when you come down south, you have this opportunity that you didn't have, or you didn't think that your background would have, and you're actually now a physician. So I thought that was pretty cool. What do you guys think about her? Yeah,
I love that she attended Meharry, where we all attend, and I really think that it speaks to just the acumen of physicians and Black physicians that Meharry has produced for, years, for decades, for 1876, right?
Yeah.
So, over a century. So I'm just honored to be a part of that legacy. And as a Black woman, really understand where the resilience lies, that you can go through so much in your life, from being raised in an orphanage to having an unstable home, to be able to, excel in medical school, and even further from that, continue your legacy so that you're a trailblazer for those who come after you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, she's the first female, African-American female surgeon in the southeastern part of the U.S., which I thought is absolutely phenomenal.
Right, and that's why we're talking about her today, right? Because of that wonderful achievement. She came down here without, the traditional support you would suspect from a medical student. And she soared, I think, new heights for not just women, but for Black people in general. And I think that trailblazing phenomenon allowed her to flourish here in the South, in Tennessee. Another thing that was really interesting was, not only did she break the barrier in medicine, but she broke the barrier politically. Right? So she was the first Black female in the Tennessee state legislature.
Right.
That's right. And I think that is awesome, right? So not only are you blowing everything out of the water when it comes to just medicine, but you are now switching over to a different career.
She's in the House of Representatives.
And you're now making policy, and you're trying to change your community on a broad level. I think that's really inspiring.
With very controversial topics as well, as abortion.
Right. That was one of her things that she went for. Yeah.
So she was able to legalize abortion, which was, groundbreaking at the time for certain, individuals that came, I guess if the mother was endangered, some different parameters that we're still fighting today.
Right.
In 2021, there's still states where, it go depending on the party who's, in power at the time, women don't even still see those rights. So to have a Black woman fight for women's rights and, in that way where the women's suffrage movement, a lot of times they didn't even include Black women.
Right.
So, we've
completely left out of that. Yeah.
Exactly. We've carried so many different issues on our back. And, are able to see change. And we might not always be celebrated or known, but, that history is there. And, I'm sure there's so many women who have benefited from what she's done. And I think that not only just women in medicine, but so many individuals in medicine might miss that power of being present in legislation and policy and really what our perspective in medicine can do. And I know, at least personally, that wasn't necessarily an avenue that I was always interested in, but I see the power in it. And I've realized through research that I had over the summer that sometimes you are the only person at the table. And if you're not speaking up as you might be the only Black person, you might be the only woman, you might be the only one that has interests or questions for certain topics and where millions of dollars in funding is going. And that's been my experience. So, to see that years and years ago and to know how relevant that it still is, I think it's really empowering.
Yeah, I can see, because I'm not a woman and I don't understand what it's like to be in a woman's shoes, like in America, right? Like I understand like male privilege is a thing, and there's a lot of things that I don't have to worry about that you both have to every day. Right. And to see that there is representation now, even in our current government, where you have people reaching new heights in the executive administration, that little girls of different colors from different creeds and backgrounds, they have the image that someone who looks like them can achieve something that high and that prestigious. I would suspect that would be very advantageous and really important for a young girl to see. Like, I don't know, have y'all had any experiences where you looked up to someone like that?
Of course. I think that, from my personal experience, my godmother being Kamala Harris, just being able to have my daughter that being the norm, to see that Aunt Kamala is the vice president, I feel like just from such a young age shatters so many boundaries and glass ceilings that have been present. Again, we're in 2021.
Right. And that's Channing's norm.
Right.
Now, which
that's
is
Channing's
so different
norm
from how we grew up.
Exactly.
That wasn't our norm to see.
Right. Yeah. Or even the norm of when you are a young kid for the past, decade, a lot of kids grew up with a Black man as a president.
Exactly.
So that type of representation is very important. And I could almost think of little girls or boys probably in this region, they didn't have social media then, but in the area, they were able to see Dorothy Brown in this position. Not only, killing it in medicine, not only being a woman and a person of color, doing surgery on all different types of people, right? But she was in a position of power, in government, actually making policy, making speeches and trying to change their environment, and seeing that type of versatility, that had to have been inspiring. And I think that's probably why people still talk about her, particularly Meharry, because of that groundbreaking acumen that she had. It's just, I can only imagine what that must have been like. If that makes sense.
I think that the real lesson is that representation matters, and it has mattered 100%. For so long. And even for me, that's why I'm where I'm at today. In addition to having role models like my Aunt Kamala, like my mother, like so many aunts, grandmothers, my pediatrician was a Black woman, and coming from Detroit, Michigan, that was the norm for me too, to see Black lawyers, judges, doctors, dentists, all of which for me growing up were African American. So to see my pediatrician have so much joy and really love what she does every day, and to feel like, even though she was my pediatrician, she felt like a family member. That was something that I knew from a young age I wanted to do at 6 years old. And I want to be that person for my daughter, for other, children of color regardless of whatever background they come from. Right. So, representation is key, and that's why it's so important that we're all here talking about it. And
I think that's a gift, because not every Black child has had the experience that you had.
Yeah.
And you're aware of that fact, which is like a beautiful thing. So yeah, definitely. I think that we're in a position now, being 2021, to actually do something about that. We have social media, we have all these avenues where we can really show that, hey, we exist, and create this visibility that's like clearly needed.
Yeah.
So
that's me. I agree. I support it. All right. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up?
Just thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, remember to please like, comment, and subscribe. We will be here to provide you more videos in the future. But thank you for tuning in for this interesting topic about a wonderful woman. Okay.
Bye.